Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm pretty much going to aim to condense 15 years of Pokemon investing experience into one video. Now that might be a little bit of a difficult ask and it might feel like I'm rambling. So this is one of those videos where there's not going to be no flashy graphics up on the screen. It's just going to be me talking to you. So pop the headphones in, pop the telly on while you're doing some housework, put it onto Bluetooth while you're in the car going for a drive, and let's just tune in and listen, hey? But before we do so, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And if you want to become a channel member, that's nice and easy. You can just join up from the home screen. And when you are a member, you can ask me any Pokemon investing related question and I'll get back to you in a timely manner. Now, a really brief background before we go into the, I suppose, the meaty content of this video. If you don't, or if you haven't tuned in to me before, I basically, like most of you, or like most people that are in their probably early to mid 30s, I started off on base set collecting Pokemon cards. And when I was about 18, I really started getting into the investing side of it. I'm 33 now, so there's been 15 years old of experience with some small hiatuses in the road where, you know, life got in the way and other things got in the way. But let's jump right into these 15 years, I guess, worth of experience. And let's just talk real about it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was, I suppose, selling and the scale and cost and everything else in between to do that. I suppose one of the most common forms of Pokemon card investing, particularly when we're talking sealed investing, is people will buy a product, hold it, sit on it for a period of time, let it appreciate, and then sell it for a profit. Now, the key word there is sell, because what most Pokemon investors are really good at doing is they're really good at buying. That actually costs you money. There is outlay to buy something. You could have used that money for something else to make different amounts of money in different areas. So what Pokemon investors are great at doing is buying. What we're not great at doing is selling. Now that's okay, because for the most part, and if you're someone that maybe uses something like the Collector app, you can log in all your inventory, whether it's single, sealed, and just, you know, watch it appreciate in value or watch your collection grow and your value grow. So it's not like you're losing money, you're not giving away the money, but unless you sell it, you never realize the profits. Those profits don't exist. They're just sitting in limbo, so to speak, until you sell them. So I really wanted to talk, I suppose, the whole notion of selling first. And when it comes to, you know, singles or modern sealed, there's a lot of things that come into play. And one of the big ones, particularly if it's modern sealed, is the scale of your operation. And then, you know, the outlay you're going to put in financially and the space, time, and effort it's going to take. So when it comes to scale and cost, the first thing I think you need to think about, and this was almost going to be a separate point, is to be real about it. You know, there's always going to be someone doing better than you or spending more than you, and there's always going to be people that are doing less than you or worse than you. So think about where you want to position yourself in terms of the scale of the whole thing. Now, I've used this notion before that I think it should be 5% of your total investments. Other people use different notions. Some people have gone really hard, really in on Pokemon, and good on them, probably have made more money than what I have only putting 5% in. But for me, that's where I see it sitting. For me, that's a scale that's comfortable for me. And I'm not expecting to become an overnight millionaire from investing in Pokemon. I'm expecting it to be the fun investment, that investment that's also a collection, a hobby, and an investment. So all three things at the same time. And that for me just makes for a really fun investment. It's so much nicer than just putting money into a stock and just letting it sit there and, you know, watch it go up and down in the share market every month or so and just, I don't know, that's no fun. But buying and collecting Pokemon cards is fun, isn't it? So first things first, think about the scale. There's going to be people doing more than you. There's going to be people doing less than you. Like, is anyone ever going to get to the level that Rudy's at where he's just got, you know, hundreds upon hundreds of cases of Sword and Shield and now Scarlet and Violet booster boxes and Elite Trainer boxes? Now, the other thing when it comes to selling, like I was saying, you don't or you'll never realize a profit until you sell it. It's the same with shares. Like you never realize a loss or a profit until you sell something. So when it comes to selling, I've said this multiple times on the channel though, you really need to build up some sort of profile where you can sell from. Now, I know I've been pretty quiet on my eBay account as of late. I'm ticking along, you know, I'm lucky to sell 1 or 2 things a month. And that's okay. Like I'm keeping the feedback ticking along. I know full well when it comes time to sell, I've got a platform there to use. And just remember, when we're talking selling, you know, if you're going to make serious amounts of money off, let's say, modern booster boxes, for argument's sake, you're going to have to buy in a large scale, which means you're going to utilize a lot of space at home. I did a video, how long ago was it? It was something like, how much product do we have to buy to make $10,000 from Sword and Shield era? And I think, we maybe looked at a set like Chilling Reign for argument's sake, and this is probably going back 6 months when it, sort of appreciated from $100 to $200 a booster box. So you're making $100 a booster box. You're going to have and sell 100 booster boxes to make $10,000 of Chilling Reign. So you would have had to have bought 100 Chilling Reign booster boxes, sold them all at $200, not including shipping and fees, just to make 10 grand. Or you probably would have had to sell them at $220 a booster box, including shipping and fees, to still actually clear $10,000. That's a lot of space, time, outlay, and effort to make 10 grand, isn't it? So think about the scale you want to operate on. Now, there's other people that might have outlaid more for a product. Let's say someone bought 5 years ago an EX Team Rocket Returns booster box for $6,000. I'm just plucking a number out there. I'm not saying that's exactly what it was worth 5 years ago. And, now they've sold it for $30,000. Well, okay, we've realized some massive gains over the last 6 years, and all we did was put our money into one booster box. So I suppose that's what I'm getting at. You really want to think about the scale of it, the cost of it, how much space it's going to take up, and the initial outlay you want to spend, whether it's go hard all in on multiple modern booster boxes, like literally 100 of them to make 10 grand if they double in price, or whether you want to maybe dabble in the vintage side, particularly, maybe some vintage or some harder to find booster boxes. Another example, like Plasma Storm. If I look back 4 years ago, say right at the start of Sword and Shield, you could still probably pick up a Plasma Storm booster box here in Australia. So this is Australian dollars, probably about 3,000 Australian dollars, which was about $1,800 US. Right now, I don't know, what are they going for? Probably 6 grand US at a guess. What, 10 grand Australian, 9 grand Australian, something like that, 5 grand US? I don't know. Either way, you get my point. Think about the scale of the operation. Now, when it comes to that scale of the operation, this really moves me on to the next point, which I've also drilled home a few times, is that the set matters. And if I use a little bit of an equation when it comes to sealed Pokemon card investing, I think it's a really simple one. The performance of the product or the performance of your money really depends on 3 things: the right set, the right product, and the right price. Now, how do we break those 3 things down? I mean, if we go and look at the Sword and Shield era as an example, the right set's Evolving Skies, the right product's a booster box, and the right price was buying it at retail. As simple as that. Are you ever going to achieve the same performance from an Evolving Skies booster box now if you buy it at $650 than if you'd bought it at 100? No, it's impossible. You can't rewind time. So my point is, right set, right product, right price. Now, the right set part is probably the most difficult thing. That's the part you don't have 100% control over. You have control over the product you buy, whether it's an Elite Trainer box, whether it's a booster box, whether it's a 3-pack blister. You have control over the price, so when you buy in and what price you choose to buy in, but you don't have control completely over what makes a good set and a bad set. Now, we can look at multiple things about what makes a good set and what makes a bad set, but it's really hard to know. And community sentiment, collector sentiment, investor sentiment can really change over time. There's been multiple sets that were seen as duds, for lack of a better word, over time, or just got absolutely obliterated with printing, and people were thinking, these are never going to move, they're not going to go anywhere. Probably the best example in modern times is something like an XY Evolutions, which just sat on the shelves at, almost not giveaway prices, but, below cost prices for so long. And then all of a sudden, everyone thought it was this, less than average version of base set, this, sort of average reprint that was just taken up with the hype of Pokemon Go. And now look at XY Evolution box prices. So what I'm getting at is the sentiment towards a set can well and truly change. I mean, we can look at Sword and Shield era, or we can look at Scarlet and Violet era, and we can go, you know what, Scarlet and Violet's been awesome so far. There's been some really, really solid sets inside Scarlet and Violet. The artwork's phenomenal, the new special illustration rares, the sets just seem to be getting better and better, except Shrouded Fable. But and we can look at Paldea Evolved, and we can look at sets like Temporal Forces and the latest Twilight Masquerade, and we can go, you know what, these are really, really solid sets. Are they an S-tier set like Evolving Skies? No. Do they have multiple $100 chase cards? No. Do they have fantastic artwork? Are they fun to open? Do they seem like the best set so far in Scarlet and Violet, bar, of course, the holiday set 151? Yes, they do. But sentiment can really, really, really quickly change on those sets. All of a sudden, we could get two absolutely banger main sets. What happens if we do get, a Stellar Dragon-based set, a Stellar Eevee-based set? What if this Team Rocket Return set that's in the pipeline is an absolute banger? And then when people look back on Scarlet and Violet era in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, the only three sets they remember are those three. And, sets like Paldea Evolved, Temporal Forces, and Twilight Masquerade all of a sudden become these mid sets that weren't even that great. It was just they were overhyped because they were the best thing at the time. Vice versa, we could have the opposite impact where, Team Rocket set really lets us down. The Eevee set really lets us down. If there's a Dragon set, it really lets us down. And all of a sudden, people look back and they go, you know what? Paldea Evolved was the best set Scarlet and Violet had to offer. Or, Twilight Masquerade was the best set Scarlet and Violet had to offer. And all of a sudden, their prices could go up in value. Or it could just take one single. People realise all of a sudden that there's this really sought after single for whatever reason. Maybe it changes in, it becomes popular in the anime, or it becomes popular in the meta of the game, or whatever it might be, and all of a sudden this card takes off. It can pull up sealed prices with it. Now, the next tip I want to get onto, so just to finalise that one, right set, right product, right price. The next tip I wanted to get onto is stay relative. What I mean by that is it's so difficult. Everything, I guess, is on a scale. And that whole idea of popularity, which I really just touched on, can really, really shift. So I guess this is only a quick point, and it's almost a follow-up on the previous point to do with sets like XY Evolutions and knowing when it's about to take off is to really, I guess, try and be ahead of the curve a little bit if you can. And, quite often, if a train's just about to leave the station, that's the best time to hop on it when it comes to Pokemon card investing. And, the last one I wanted to talk about, the last point I guess I wanted to touch home on is, you'll win some and you'll lose some, and you should learn from your mistakes. So over the 15 years, I can tell you now, investing in sealed product and holding it was never really a thing. It just wasn't. It didn't exist really. Yes, okay, base set booster boxes still cost a little bit of money way back when. I can remember when I was at uni, this is going back to I'm probably talking about 2011. Yeah, probably about 2011, when I was buying, multiple cases of EX series booster boxes. We're talking sets like EX Dragon Frontiers, we're talking sets like EX Holland Phantoms. I was opening these, piecing out the cards individually, selling them all on eBay. I was scouring, marketplace after marketplace, mostly eBay for collections, and I was buying them up and reselling them to try and make a profit. That was almost Pokemon investing back in the day, because you couldn't think to yourself, oh, I'm just going to buy a booster box of a 4-year-old set and just sit on it for the next 5 years. It just didn't seem a thing. And it's really, really hard for someone when you're younger. I've learned from experience now that sitting and holding a booster box is the best way to go about it. But when I was younger, it was so difficult. I can remember sitting a case of Holland Phantoms in the cupboard, and I just said, I'm not opening that. No, it is just going to stay sealed. Not because I thought it was going to go up in value, but just because I thought, wouldn't it be cool to keep this sealed? And then, you know what? It was literally the next night. I couldn't get to sleep one night. I was like, oh, there's a case of Holland Phantoms and I just want to open it. What if there's a gold star inside there? And then, what if there's a gold star Mewtwo inside there? And, then the next night I was like, I'll just open one box, just one, and I'll leave the other 5 sealed. And then it was, I'll open another one and another one and another one. And after a couple of weeks, there was one box that I was like, I'm just going to leave one booster. And then I was like, nah, stuff it. I'm going to open that as well. So there you go. I opened all 6 boxes. And, what I'm getting at is you win some, you lose some, and you learn from your mistakes. Now, looking back and even buying modern sets, eventually, although it could take a massive amount of time, It could take 10 years. That's okay. If you're in your early to mid 30s, you're still young. We are still young. It could mean in 15 years' time, like, you know, a lot of those EX sets now are well and truly over 15 years old. But look at the value they're pulling. I'm not saying Sword and Shield sets are going to do that because they're printed to a completely different level. Like, there's a massive scale difference with the amount of printing and the amount of singles and the amount of PSA 10 copies. But a good solid set like a Lost Origin, Evo Skies, etc., could someday command a massive, massive price. So, you know, I've learnt from my mistakes where I'm not buying to open. Now, the other side of it, when I was talking about the whole, you know, buying multiple sets and flipping them, I guess the market back then didn't seem anywhere near as educated. There was a lot of people that just like found these cards, put them up for sale, $20. $20 for this binder full of Pokemon cards. And you know, there was a few little hidden gems in there. You would think, oh yeah, I could get $12 for that card, $10 for that card, $8 for that card, $15 for that card. You know what? If I buy this set, this binder for $20 and $15 postage, so $35, you know, I reckon I can sell this for $100. I reckon I could sell the contents inside this for $100. Now, everyone is so switched on. Like, the market prices cards for you. Like, it's so easy to fit. You can log on to TCG Player, you can log on to eBay, click complete listings. There's not much naivety around the community anymore. Yes, there's some, you know, they're going, oh, what's my card worth? But it's so hard to find like a deal, I guess I'm getting at. You know, a lot of times people ask overs. They'll go, oh yeah, I've got this set, it's vintage, it's this much. And it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not, mate. What you think, it's not the value of it. You're asking more than it. But what I'm getting at, it's really, really hard to find bargains these days. So the market is more and more switched on now. So you really need to think about how you're going to make your money off Pokemon cards. Now, I wanted to keep this video about 15 minutes. I guess if I were to summarize the whole video, is a couple of little quotes to summarize the whole video. The last point, you know, you'll win some, you'll lose some. You should learn from your mistakes throughout the journey. I think that should really be, you know, some sort of quote that lives in the back of your mind throughout the whole process. The other one is just to have fun with it. This is your fun investment tool. You know, this is just that 5% of your income that you can just have a ball with and have fun with and collect with and invest with. And the final part is, don't forget, right set, right product, right time. I'm Michael, this is PokeOz, and I'll catch everyone next time.